Let's take a few minutes and explore how arm movement dictates motion through the rest of the body. Now, the motion that most people are familiar with in a gym setting is bilateral in nature, meaning both arms are moving in the same direction at the same time, whether it's toward the body or away from the body. Both legs are having to press weights away or squat by bending at the same time, extending at the same time. But that's not necessarily how we move through the world. When we walk, one arm swings forward while the other one swings back. One leg swings forward while the other swings back. We have a three-dimensional space also. So when we shift to one side, one leg is adducting, one hip is abducting. One foot is creating an arch known as supination, while the other foot is pronating or dropping the arch. So there's a lot of these oppositional actions in day-to-day life as well as most sports or athletic activity. So we're going to look again, what does the arm do to the rest of the body as it moves? Now, if we're doing both arms at the same time and pressing forward, we'll get a sense that as we extend those arms forward, it creates flexion in the spine. And if I keep my head nice and level at this position, my neck actually goes into extension and my head tilts back. My pelvis begins to tuck under. Now, if I go in the opposite direction, begin pulling, that's going to drive extension through my spine. My rib cage tilts back. My head staying level at the horizon is actually going to tilt forward. So my cervical spine or my neck is flexing, the head's tilting downward, the ribs are pulling back or posteriorly tilting, the spine's extending, and my pelvis tilts forward. My knees begin to bend. It's almost like I'm getting ready to perform a squat. So by bringing the arms forward creates spinal flexion, drawing the arms back, spinal extension. Well, that's great, but it's only one motion, both arms going at the same time. Let's explore individual or single arm action. When the arm drives upward over the head, if I just keep going with it, you'll get a sense that my rib cage is now being pulled upward on this side with the shoulder while the other one's hanging down. So my rib cage actually laterally flexes or side bends away from the arm that's driving up. So if you have a posture, perhaps with one shoulder slightly higher than the other, I might consider giving you an exercise that just does the opposite. Now the muscles that were shortened begin to experience length. The muscles that were lengthened begin to shorten. So we begin to give the body a totally different experience. So upward arm reach, one at a time, will give us a little bit of this lateral flexion, this frontal plane action, side-to-side motions. We could even take one arm, draw it down, while the other one reaches up, kind of like climbing a ladder. That will also give us that action that we're looking for. Now, if we do a single arm forward motion and keep it going, you'll see how my body begins to rotate away from the camera. The other arm, extending, rotates in the opposite direction. So when one arm extends out, it turns the rib cage away from that extending arm. And therefore, if I were doing a pulling action, the same thing would occur. As I pull this arm toward me, it causes the ribs to rotate in that direction. So if we found in your posture that you were simply rotated a little bit off to your right with your torso, we may start to experience a little bit of pulling to give the body something different. We could also take this arm and drive forward to achieve the same thing. So it doesn't mean that I have to do both arms at the same time, because if I am slightly rotated and I am doing bench press, this arm is coming in closer toward the body, this one's kind of going out. So we're starting to actually reinforce the imbalances that are already there. And finally, if I were to just bring my arm back around, we can see how that rotates the whole body. If I bring the arm across, the body follows. So wherever the arm travels, the body is going to travel along with it. And if we can use this information to better create programs to restore better balance, better posture and alignment, Well, this is going to be a much more effective way of working out than simply doing both arms and both legs moving in the same direction only. Those exercises can be beneficial, but if it makes up the bulk of your program, you're going to be missing out on at least 2 other dimensions and a whole bunch more fun.